Well, now we know it's not coming home. It's gone to Rome. It's all unfolded and being lived, and you might now feel bereft, confused, baffled, lost. Let me, as a man who's been around for a while, talk you through how to process this grief. Furthermore, let's look at some of the significant issues that have come out of it. A sense of community and togetherness, the bizarre, ridiculous racial abuse that's come about, and what it is to unleash these potent forces culturally, and whether or not there could be another destination, another home for the sensations and togetherness that we've experienced over the last month.
Too much pressure at the end of the day. Too much pressure.
100%. Shame it's not coming home.
I've heard a few people say Southgate out. It's absolutely ridiculous.
That's literally the worst thing that I've ever heard.
That's another thing you have to acknowledge about football fans, is that it's such a mad vicissitude of vacillating emotions. Southgate, he should be knighted, shouldn't he? It'd be better if Southgate was Prime Minister. Right, we've lost by in penalties, which is the narrowest of all possible losses. Get him out! Get him out!
I feel sorry in particular for everyone, because it's a community thing. Everyone was rooting for England. And in my lifetime, it's probably the closest that I've seen has come to the Championship like that. But there's no point in crying over it. There's always next time, World Cup.
Yes, the World Cup in Qatar. Don't worry about human rights issues or the fact they've moved it to December. Put all that aside.
The lads, they've made history. They brought our country together. They brought our country together in times of need, mate. Well done, the boys.
I do you know what? I applaud the whole team.
Oh my God, everyone's a little bit too drunk. Of course, as well, it's sort of permissible to get all pissed and hang out together in these situations, to publicly display your emotions. I've heard men say about football in the past, it's the only time I pray is when I'm at football. I've heard people say it's the only time I can talk normally to male relatives or feel connected to people. It conjures up all manner of stuff. It's like it's an alchemy, it's a catalyst. It comes into your life and conjures up all of these feelings. And then, though, you've got to pay the price. You see, I was thinking of the people that are actually in the team. They've dedicated their life to football. They've dedicated their bodies to football, their minds to football. Then there's people that are normal fans. We've dedicated our, attending football matches, reading about it, learning about it. And it rewards you, but it also punishes you. It punishes you for your love. There must be something deeper. There must be something that is subliminally reached through this sort of, this concoction accidentally achieved just through sport and entertainment. What I marvel at is how something that's become so commercialised and commodified can still remain connected to its indigenous power. Also, this tournament didn't come into an abyss, did it? It came into a peculiar, unusual, quarantined and flat time. In itself, a time that's following a series of social fragmentations, Brexit, the Trump-Biden time. This is a time of division, and to have something unifying and beautiful and celebratory and progressive and non-divisive, where people from all communities feel included and indeed are permitted to feel included, that was a kind of, for me, a utopian joy. If you've been a football fan for a long while, whether that's of England or club football or whatever country you're from, you'll know that the experience is bound up in this sort of your own personal narratives, your own personal sense of loss. Oh, I remember where I was in 1990, 86, 96, etc. And a feeling of connection to grand narratives, i.e. the idea of England or Italy or Ireland or wherever the hell it is you're from. Now, when this moment comes, that in our case, seemingly inevitable moment of defeat, it's like waking up from some kind of dream, isn't it? Thinking, where's that feeling gone? What's going on? At what point during the game did you start to think, oh no, this is beginning to get undone? The early goal, fantastic, exciting, glorious. The second half, noticing players are standing off a bit. Then the sort of inevitable here comes the chopper creep of the penalty shootout, knowing that's going to happen and what that's likely to lead to. Now, football is better analysed by people who know a lot more about the intricacies of the game than I do. Culturally, what happens, I believe, is we're provided with a ceremonial system, a liminal space of understandable rules where we can all project our emotions, where the experience and illusion simultaneously of coming together is achieved and realised, even though we know it's an illusion, even though we know it's a game. Isn't it on some level just joyful to come together and say, come on England, or it's coming home, to strangers and passers-by and think, oh actually yeah, we are all the same, an acknowledgement of sameness. That's why it's pretty dispiriting when afterwards you be like, oh, Italian restaurants got smashed up, mural of Marcus Ratchford desecrated or destroyed or graffitied or however you want to term that. That for me is like, I find it hard to fathom. Because of the conversations around race over the last 5 years in particular, we understand that there are notions, tracts and ideas around racism that are pretty embedded and pretty deep. This old school N-word, hateful, mental, mad racism though, I feel like it only belongs to a dumb, minute cluster of idiots online. I can't believe, I pray that it's not true that this is a significant section of society in any country. That's my prayer rather than my diagnosis, because what do I know, I'm just one person. But my feeling is that what was going on in the build-up, in the ongoing joy of the last month, was a real sense of people coming together. And in fact, one of the things that was most celebrated about the football team was it was a diverse group of young players with pretty progressive, open attitudes and beautiful way of conversing on these matters, led by Gareth Southgate, who's tied together explicitly ideas of his sense of a traditional connection to England through his grandfather who was in the military, a modern progressive idea of England through his respect through the racial diversity throughout English culture and this team in particular. For a moment, we had a talisman, a shared talisman that we came together around. I think it's possible to achieve this again without the central idea of football to coagulate around.
We, I think, have been a beacon of light in bringing people together, in people being able to relate to the national team, and the national team stands for everybody, and so that togetherness has to continue, and we've shown the power our country has when it does come together and has that energy and positivity together.
What I suppose I would like to say for people that are trying to grapple with the emotions that they feel today is we must investigate, what is it that we just went through? This simple phrase, football's coming home. What does football represent? What does home represent? Clearly something powerful was metabolized here. Something powerful is awoken and stirred. Carnivals, a chosen, elected, bounded period where the rules are temporarily suspended. The rules of quietness, politeness, and division, even separateness. Suddenly there's this sense of unity, carnival, togetherness, it's bunting everywhere, singing and booze about the place. You know, and now it's over, the party's over. But the feelings that it brought up, the feelings that it brought to the forefront, they don't need to go away. We can have a sense of cohesion. We can have a sense of togetherness. Let's face it, not only is football a concept, England is a concept. It's a political, territorial, military, industrial, commercial construction. If we all stop saying England exists like that, then there is no England. It can show us a lot about what is real and what is not real. And the fact is, potentially, nothing may be real. Nothing may have meaning. Realness and meaning might be things that we invent. That needn't make you feel nihilistic and despairing. It could make you feel hopeful, because we could imagine into being entirely different societies. You want a society where people aren't judged on the basis of their on the colour of their skin or on their culture? Make it so. You want a culture that is more equal, more fair? Make it so. You want a culture that progresses beyond the values of imperialism, oppression, division of working class people by saying these ideas are important, these people are different, this is distinct from that? Make it so. Imagine a new reality into being. Dare to dream new utopias and then act as if they are real and watch them become real. This is why we look to leaders with vision, because they seem to present us with a set of ideas that we can believe in our understandable despair, in a confusing, weird time when we live hundreds of thousands of years and hundreds of thousands of mental miles away from the conditions for which we are evolved. We don't live in the communities that the machine of the body and mind were evolved to live in. It's confusing not to be an arboreal ape living off fruit in a tree with a small community of people, but to suddenly live in a nation of 60 million people and be aware of all sorts of different cultures and different ideas, and to be screened up continually. It's baffling. What we need is a vision for how this can work. And even though, in my view, this is somewhat inadvertent, the football coming home England team phenomena presented us with a joyful glimpse of what might be possible. And that's what I think we're grieving today. The loss of that kind of the ambrosia of togetherness, the loss of the nectar of the potential of a better world. But we can dream it into being. That is what could be coming home. Do you even want to hear that phrase ever again? Maybe you don't. If you like this video, please press like, subscribe to my channel, share it around. If you want to be on my mailing list, go to russellbrand.com, sign up for it. If you want to listen to me having deep conversations, go over to Luminary. You can get it off Apple. All the links are in the description. If you want to learn how to meditate, and you should learn how to meditate, go over to Awakening, my side channel. I do all sorts of spiritual stuff on there. And if you want to see me blathering on about Shakespeare, get our little live Shakespeare and Me live show. For God's sake, I pray that you don't take football so seriously in the future, if there is a future even, in Qatar.